Alright, welcome to the official DaVinci Rant. Now, I've been wanting to do this rant for so long. You have no idea. Oh my god, it's just gonna be great. So, where do I even begin? Over the years, I've been to so many schools, and I've always hated the idea that, I've just always hated public education as a whole, just because of the whole way it's set up. Now, the reason I hate it is basically boiled down to one main reason, and the reason is because it's a huge multi-billion-dollar corporation, and that's clearly what they're more concerned about rather than the actual education of the students. So that's why I just very upset with public education as a whole, but more importantly, the school that I was forced to be confined to for the past 2 years, which also made my life very miserable. And I'm about to completely go into depth about why. Now, my parents and many other people who were significant others have asked why I inexplicably despise Da Vinci so much. And I've never really given them a correct answer, or I've never really given them an in-depth answer, mainly because, it's just, you can't really boil it down all into one thing without going on a huge rant like this. Now, the funny thing about this is I'm recording this rant while I'm looking at the 9th grade yearbook of Da Vinci, which is very cringy. Just to point out, the front page is of a student who went on stage on my 9th grade year, who talked about his parents or whatever dying or something, and started crying. Like, literally just being hysterical about it, like crying like crazy. Half the entire school went up there and started crowding around him to try to comfort him. And, of course, they decided to snap as many pictures as they needed to make it seem like it's a family-orientated school. Everyone's here to help each other out. Well, that's a big joke. Okay, so, yep, I was there on that event. I believe it was called something around the line, the Moth event, I believe. Yep. The most cringy event I've been to. Well, probably one of the most cringy events the school's held so far. Thankfully, they did not do that any other year. It's just, luckily, I had to go through it only my year. So yeah, I'm lucky about that. Not really, just kidding. Yeah, it was a complete cringe fest and a sob fest. Everyone just decided to be morbid and dramatic about their stories, and everyone left being completely sad. So, yep, terrible time and just terrible place. Anyways, moving on to the rant. Now, Da Vinci is a school that's been around for around 3 years. Actually, around 4 years at the time. Well, this is actually, technically, this is the 5th year it's running, which is, I was the 3rd year to join this school, which means that the graduating class graduated last year, 2016, 2017. Now, the school itself is based around the motto, "We do things differently here." Yeah, you're damn right you do things differently here. You do things a hell of a lot worse. And the whole new building, which is supposed to come out, this is a big joke. Yep, we're supposed to move into the new building in the 10th grade year. And then they moved it to the 11th grade year. That didn't happen. And they said, well, we might be late because the construction isn't ready yet, so we might have to push it to a few weeks into the 10th grade year. And then now they're saying, oh, it'll probably be a few months until it's ready. So yeah, just a little example of how organized the school is. Not much. And yeah, so they keep making excuses on why the new school is not ready. They mainly say things around the lines of just like, oh, well, we need to, it's not safe yet. There's still some things they need to put in. At first they were saying stuff like, oh, well, the construction's not completely done yet. Then they're saying things around the lines of, well, they need to have like, the coverage from the legal things of the school, property, whatever their excuses are. They clearly don't know what they're doing, and they're very disorganized with, the whole process of moving schools. I mean, the school itself is only 5 years old. You could definitely tell. It's a very, very unorganized school. Very, very unorganized. Yep. So, the school itself is filled with a bunch of students that were raised around one moral ideology and mindset, Now, the primary mindset would be far leftism, or the radical extreme leftism, or the extreme liberalism. If I had to come up with some rough exaggeration, I would probably say 99% of the students there had to be at least semi on the far or semi on the left wing. So obviously my political beliefs are completely, they don't matter. They're unnecessary. But my political beliefs are not on the left, and by no means are they far left or liberal. I am not liberal whatsoever. However, I would also not consider myself to be conservative. The first thing that I did not like about the school when I first joined was the fact that the teachers there are completely orientated to teach their political beliefs and their way of thinking things. And they go about teaching things in a way that they think is objectively true, but in reality, they are more of opinions. They're opinionated topics. The way they advertise themselves as, we do things differently here. And especially the way they advertise themselves as a family. They are not a family. That school by no means is a family. It's not a family. You know what? It's such fake news, okay? When the school was first founded, it was such a small school, and they wanted to adapt this whole phrase like, we are a family, we care about each other. Listen, I've been to that school for 2 years. No one cared about me, okay? No one went up to me when I was depressed, because I've been through some severe depression, and I had my head down copious amounts of times in class. No one, not a single person went up to me, asked me if I was okay. Not a single teacher went up to me, asked me if I was okay. The most anyone ever did was when I believe it was late 9th grade. I was having a very, very bad day. I had some personal issues, and, things weren't going good for me that day. I was experiencing a lot of sadness, and I just wasn't having a good time. So I was sitting alone in one of the classrooms because I just wanted to be alone. Typical me, I don't like being around people because, people frustrate me. I was sitting alone in a classroom, and basically the teacher walks in, some random teacher in a different grade. I had no idea who he was, and he basically said, hey, do you have anywhere to be, because I have to be in here right now. And I had my head down, just like trying to be alone to myself, and I looked up and I was looking at him, and I was like, what, are you the teacher here? And he basically says to me, yeah, I'm the teacher here, and you can't be here right now, so please leave. He basically said, get the freak out of my class. He did not ask, hey, are you okay? He didn't ask, hey, like, do you need to talk about something? No, he just said, get the freak out of my class. Okay? Now, yeah, that's a family, all right? Definitely a great family-oriented school. When you show up to school looking like you've taken crack and you haven't gotten more than 2 hours of sleep in the entire week, and yet not a single person even takes the time out of their own time to just go up to you and simply ask, are you all right? That's definitely a family-oriented school. Yeah, definitely people who care about you there, for sure. No, in reality, it's only a family if you agree with their own political mindsets and their own ideologies. If you support Trump, if you support anything other than what they think is politically correct, you're not part of their family. They don't care about you. You're just some random privileged guy who goes to this school for no apparent reason. 9th grade year was a little bit mellow. It was fine. First part of the year, it was okay. I did the work, but I started noticing this pattern. The pattern of me doing work, but the work that I did was not good enough. It was not only not good enough, but what I started noticing about the teachers, the overall teaching pattern at that school, was that what they taught was, it's not about the effort, and it's about doing exactly what we want you to do. And the reason why they do this is because they want you to feel what it's like to be in the real world. They want you to feel what it's like to be controlled by a boss, to be controlled, to be a corporate slave in this unruly world. They want you to, they're basically assuming that everyone is going to become some 9-to-5 slave who just does everything a boss tells them to do. And if they do one single thing wrong, they get punished for it. They don't get the credit for it. That's how the school operated. Every single semester you get, instead of taking a test like a normal school, you have to do this thing called POLs, presentation of learning, basic procedure. You make a 16-minute presentation or whatever, and you basically kind of have to express what you've learned through strategic ways of expressing what you've learned to the teachers. Now, that's all fine and dandy, right off the bat. It sounds great, like, oh, cool, that's pretty innovative. That's a cool way to teach. That's a cool way to summarize what you've learned. Yeah, it would be if there wasn't a huge gap of bias within it. The teachers do not care what you've learned as long as you present to them what you've learned in a way they want you to do. You can put any amount of effort. You can spend hours and hours and hours and hours rehearsing, putting effort into the way the PowerPoint looks, putting effort into the actual content, and still get a 0. I have made 8 POLs. 8. 4, and I failed all 4 of them. So I've had to redo every single one. By the way, if you fail a POL, you don't get an option. You have to do it over again. Okay? The highest grade I've ever gotten on a single POL, the first time, was a 1.84. A 1.84. Okay? Now, obviously, the grading system there is based off of, I forgot what the exact name of it is, but basically, you get ranked in your grade by certain number. It goes up to 4, basically. You get ranked. It's not even a grading system. You basically just get ranked on how you do. So a 2 would be considered passing, 3 is whatever, 4 is A+, Asian level, whatever. And the highest I've ever gotten on a POL was 1.84. Now, since my very first POL, I have put hours and hours and hours of time stressing about my POL, getting feedback from people, looking through rubrics, copious amounts of rubrics from different classes, trying to get feedback from my teachers, and practicing over and over again, trying to get it right, trying to get the content over. And I failed every single one. And do you know the one feedback that I've always gotten from at least one of the teachers? I've gotten the same feedback every single time. And you know what that was? It was, you did a good job at expressing the POL, but you did not get the content right. That's the one thing I've gotten feedback every single time. Every single time. You did well in the presentation, but the content was lacking. In fact, the last POL I did, feedback I got from Noel was, you're very smart, yeah, blah, blah, blah. All teachers say, teachers are basically paid to say that, they think that you're smart because, that's how they encourage you. 99% of the time, they don't actually think you're smart. I'm pretty sure 90% of teachers think their students are dumbasses. I mean, they're really only paid to get their students to have a high score, and the only way they're going to help them do that is by encouraging them by spouting bullcrap all the time, but whatever. So she basically started off with that feedback. This is the last POL I took. She basically started off by saying, you know what, Dallas, you have a lot of intelligence, you have a lot of innate intelligence, but you need to learn how to use it. The content was incorrect, but the presentation was right. Okay? And I get a 0. The last POL I did, I got a 0. Okay? And I couldn't represent because when I was supposed to go, I hadn't had turned in the actual POL document on time. Therefore, you couldn't go, which is also BS because, I didn't actually turn in the thing on time. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can I at least, can I present now can I present now anyways so I could at least not get a failing grade? Nope. Can't do that. No one told me I had to turn it in on time. Oh, well, Dallas, you should have looked into that on your own time. Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. I'll just fail now then. Like, oh, you should have done this, should have done that. You should have asked me, should have asked whatever. You should have done research. Yep, Dallas, it's all your fault. It's none of our problem. Dallas, you have to learn what it's like to be in the real world, Dallas. 0. I got a 0. I spent Let me see. How much did I spend on the last POL I did? This was the second semester of 10th grade. That semester I specifically tried, probably the hardest, to try to make this POL correct. I set aside 5 to 8 hours of time on a Saturday, the weekend before the POL, just to make sure that I had everything down correctly. I looked over all the rubrics. I looked over all the things. I got feedback from many students. They said it was good. And they told me to change some stuff, and then I changed it, and they said it was good. I do the presentation, and I get a 0. A 0. Not even a 1 point something. I got a 0. A 0.0. And I'm just like sitting there like, what? How? I didn't even get a single point for effort? I spent hours and hours and hours on this, and you can't even bother to give me a single point for putting in all that effort? I'm at a loss. I just don't understand how you could be... I don't understand how you could have such a terrible grading system. It's just... Words cannot describe the anger I had. Alright, so let's rewind a little bit further back to the first semester of 10th grade. First semester of 10th grade was probably the worst 6 months of my entire life. Mainly because of the amount of stress, depression, social anxiety I was going through, and just the fact that I hated the school so much. I did not. There were times during that 6 months, first semester of 10th grade, that I seriously just wanted to end it all. The only thing keeping me together was YouTube and my passions. Because I knew if I gave up, it would be all my passions going to waste. So I kept in there. I barely was able to make it. I never discussed my feelings and emotions towards anyone during that time because it's pointless. Okay? Because no one takes your emotions seriously. No one takes your problems seriously when you're just a 15-year-old kid, completely irrelevant to the world around you. No one cares. Everyone just dismisses you as just, you're just going through puberty. No one cares. And I'm not even saying it's their fault, really. That's just how the world's view is. That's how the mindset of the world is. It's a very bad mindset. It's just how it is. But anyways, so I'm going to talk about the POL that semester as well. Okay? So the POL basically went just as usual. I prepared for hours. I worked. I did not slack off. I spent the whole weekend, just like in the second semester, I spent the whole weekend working on it, just trying to make it good, trying to prepare it so it was good. And basically, when I did it, my mom was in the audience, and she was the one who would be she'd be the one who would be watching me. Like, I don't even know why my parents decided to show up. It was so like humiliating, honestly. Like, it's not because I'm ashamed of my parents. It's just that no other parents was there. I mean, I don't know why my parents felt obligated to show up. It's not, I mean, literally no other parent was there. It's not like it's a student/parent conference or something. It's a presentation for your teachers. So I don't know what got my parents so convinced to show up, but whatever. So my mom shows up. I don't think my dad does because my dad works, freaking ridiculous hours. I do the POL, and everything seems to go well. I mean, the teachers, obviously, they always have that confused/angered look on their face, and they always say it's not because they're angry. Yeah, whatever. Same thing we hear every single time. It's just because they're trying to study the POL itself somehow. I don't know. Anyways, I complete the POL. It's all good. I get actually better feedback than what I was expecting, and I was okay with it. I mean, I didn't pass certain things. Obviously, certain things were fine, but overall the feedback wasn't too bad. And I was like, okay, cool, this is awesome. I mean, at least I was so scared that I was gonna fail miserably in front of my parent. And it's just a terrible thing to happen. Luckily, it didn't happen. But I did have to do a full panel represent because I didn't pass certain things. And I was like, you know what? whatever. I mean, I don't care as long as the feedback wasn't humiliating. Okay, so I work on the full panel represent. I go to, I think it was at least 3 different people, asking them what I could do to improve, and they basically said different things and this and that and this and that, and I did it and everything. Overall, I spent many hours, probably an entire day, just doing the full panel represent, and it was finally time for me to go up there and do it again. And there were even more people in the audience this time. There was about 20 people in the audience, I'd say, students getting ready for their POL. And I go up there, and then I do the represent. And when I'm finished, I'm expecting to get, decent feedback, maybe same feedback, whatever, I get the mother of all hellstorms of a rant. You would not believe what feedback I got. The teachers got so mad at the last thing I put on my PowerPoint. Do you want to know what the last thing I put on my PowerPoint was? I put that my strength for accountability was quality of work, but my weakness was turning things in on time. You have no idea how mad that got these teachers. Basically, they just started going off at me, like they were yelling at me, saying, Dallas, you do not put quality into your work. Dallas, how dare you say that your strength is quality? I disagree with that 100%. You do not try hard enough. You have so much potential. Dallas, you do not work hard enough. Dallas, this presentation was a complete waste of my time. Meanwhile, everyone's just sitting in the background completely, shocked. Just literally, shocked. Everyone, I'm scanning the background of people, and everyone's just sitting there shocked. Everyone's bewildered at what's going on right now. And the teachers are just going at it. They are yelling, screaming at me, saying, Dallas, this presentation was worse than the last one. You failed. Get out of here. And they literally sent me out of the class. I had no words after that happened. When it first happened, I wasn't even mad. I was shocked at what happened. I did not understand what exactly just happened. And as I walked out of the class, the room was completely silent. The only thing you could hear was the teachers just mumbling to themselves, stuff like, oh, well, this was the worst presentation we've ever heard. Stuff like that, It was just, other than that, the whole room was silent. Dead silent. Everyone was just looking with shocked expressions what just happened. And I walk out the class, leaving all my dignity behind, and that was that. And I believe that was the last day of until the break. So, yep, that kind of ruined my entire day and my entire experience for the first semester. All right, so if that wasn't enough, I don't know how much I can keep going with this. Basically, to put it bluntly, 9th grade year was so much better than 10th grade year. It was unbelievable. Okay, 10th grade year was a complete disaster. Just the worst, probably the worst time of my life. Before 10th grade, I would have to say the worst year of my life was 2nd grade, because the whole year in 2nd grade, I was so confused. I didn't know what was going on, and I was always getting disciplined by my parents because I wasn't doing the work, because I didn't know what the work was about, and it was such a nightmare. And 10th grade completely smashes that. There's no way to fully describe the miserable scenarios that school put me through. So I'm just going to say a few more examples of what I had to go through just to make my points. And I think I'll wrap up the rant about after that. We've already been ranting for about 30 minutes. So anyways, I'm going to focus more on 10th grade year, because 9th grade year it was all right. I mean, my overall anxiety, social anxiety was not as bad in 9th grade. But the things that school made me go through in 10th grade quintupled the social anxiety I developed. So one example of 10th grade was the copious amounts of times that my computer was confiscated for very illegitimate reasons. Now, obviously, my computer was constantly being confiscated for being on, quote-unquote, uneducational websites. Okay, Khan Academy, YouTube, which is what I was using to watch Khan Academy, and I believe there was one other thing. I think I was on Cool Math Games too, because that was the only thing that the web kind of block allowed. So apparently those websites are considered very uneducational, and I had my computer confiscated. One day I got my computer confiscated for being on one of these quote-unquote uneducational websites, and I had work to do on the computer, and it was during this seminar called Study Hall, basically. Study Hall with David, which David was, the gay teacher of the school, probably one of the strictest teachers too, but, everyone knew him as the gay teacher. And yeah, really he didn't do anything. He just sat back and did nothing while everyone just kind of goofed around and did whatever. I don't even know. Anyways, I had nothing to do because I didn't have a computer, and I only had one assignment to do on paper, but, it was a very frustrating assignment. It was basically what you had to do was you had to color and stuff and do all kinds of weird stuff. It was just a pain. I did not feel like doing it. So what I did was I skirted on over to the 9th grade computer tub, whatever you want to call it, and I grabbed a random 9th grade computer, a random 9th grade Chromebook, just so I can, log into my account and start working on my stuff. So I do that, and I start working, and I open up YouTube so I could listen to some music, and then I ask David if I can go to the bathroom, and then he says yeah, and I leave the computer on YouTube because I was listening to music, but basically in the background what I was working on some algebra practice. So I go to the bathroom, and and I come back, and then David is sitting next to my desk, looking at me as I walk in with the most angered expression ever. Like, you would not believe how angry he looked. And I sat down, and then he basically said in the most monotone voice ever, "Hi." That's literally all he said, but he was so mad as he said it. And then the next thing he said was he started yelling at me saying, "Are you kidding me? You took a ninth grade computer after specifically being told you could not be on a computer?" And by the way, while he's saying this, he's screaming this, like, the whole class instantly stops doing whatever they're doing. Like, this is not a quiet class. Like, this is a pretty noisy class as it is. They all stop, and they all look directly at me. David's still yelling at me, basically giving me all this crap. Like, do you understand that this computer is literally a ninth grader's computer and you've stolen school's technology? He basically asked me what I have to say for myself, and all I have to say is I have work to do on a computer, so I used it. And he basically said, "No, that's not an excuse. There is work you have to do on paper as well." So he basically sends me out of the class, and I walk out of the class, and then he comes out of the class like 5 minutes later. He tells me to go to Noelle's class. Noelle's the English teacher, so I can discuss this with her. I go over to Noelle's, and Noelle's sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, hi, Dallas, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Yeah, hi, how's it going? It's pretty good." And she's like, "So I heard you took a computer, did you?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I wanted to do work on it." And she's like, No, stop talking right there. So you took a ninth grader's computer, and you were using it for uneducational purposes because we found it on YouTube." And then instantly I'm like, "Oh no, well, I was just using YouTube for, the music." And she's like, "Nope, stop talking. We found the computer on YouTube, you stole a ninth grader's computer, and you were watching YouTube videos with it." And then she basically says, "You've been banned from computers for the rest of the semester. And you've been lying to everyone about what you're using your computer for. So I'm going to write you up to the principal for academic dishonesty." Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there like, why does this always happen to me? Like, what am I doing? What did I ever do in my past life to deserve this treatment? Like, I don't understand. What is going on here? Like, this school is so wrong. Oh my God, it's so wrong. Just the constant amount of times the teachers have decided to specifically put me on the spot in front of all the freaking the students. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. The whole grading system is ridiculous. The whole grading system's stupid. I failed each and every single class, even though I worked to turn in all my assignments. I put so much effort into all my assignments. And then on days that I was so fed up with it, because I was so fed up of doing work and then being treated terribly for it because it wasn't good in their standards, I would literally just sit in class being all sad and depressed because I was so mad at the freaking school. And then when we had to do partner projects, I didn't want to participate because I was so mad. I still had social anxiety. I did not want to talk to people. I did not want to be around anyone. And then I got punished because I didn't want to participate in the group work. The school is called DAVINCI Communications. And they specialize in trying to force people to communicate in order to solve their problems. In case you don't know me, that is not what I do. And that is not what I will ever do. I do not communicate with people. That's just a part of my personality. And I will never forget the one thing that one teacher said to me in 9th grade. I could go off with a whole different story, but I'm just going to basically summarize it. One day we were playing Cahoots, and I made a fairly inappropriate username. The teacher got mad, yelled at me, sent me outside the class. After class, came outside, talked to me, and essentially what he said was, I don't belong in this school. He literally started talking to me about how it was inappropriate to do and how that I basically just don't belong here. He literally said that I don't belong here. I don't belong in this school. And damn was he right. He was so right. Got a family. Does a family really criticize you for putting effort into doing something? Does your family criticize you for doing your best even though it's not good enough to them? Does your family criticize you because you're incapable of performing a social interaction, like communicating? I mean, unless you're Asian, probably not a good family would do that. I don't understand why this school ironically tries to name themselves as the family-orientated school. They are the exact polar opposite if you have differing beliefs. I had to go to summer school because I failed every single class. I didn't even come close to passing. I did not even come close to passing summer school. 38%. 38 freaking percent. I did all the work. I did all of the work in summer school. Each and every single essay, each and every single BS thing I had to read. Shakespeare, this pointless literature written 400 freaking years ago, I had to study over and over again. I do the work. I do all the answers. I do all the tests. What do I get? 38%. I failed summer school. And then I emailed Noelle, confronting her about this, because I don't understand how I could fail summer school even though I did all the work. I emailed her, and I'm nice about it. Noelle, can you please tell me if there's anything I can do to raise my grade so I don't have to repeat 10th grade? She doesn't respond. She doesn't even respond. She didn't even bother to respond. What? How many emails do you get? 500,000 a day? How hard is it just to respond to a single student? She did not even respond. She didn't even take the time to say no. She just didn't even bother responding to me. What a great teacher. What a great school. Amazing. Amazing. The curriculum is just amazing. And I'm sorry if you can't catch my sarcasm. But I failed summer school. I did every single assignment. I participated in every single debate, which, by the way, like 99% of the debates in the Socratic seminars that we had to do in summer school were completely ridiculous. Like, they were completely ridiculous. They were basically all about, like, do you think Donald Trump is racist, and do you think he should be impeached? And of course, all the students there who were, obviously all liberals, they all say, yeah, of course he should be impeached. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just stupid. I'm smarter than Donald Trump. I could be richer than Donald Trump if I tried. I could be president if I tried. Frick, I'm black. I'm oppressed. You know what? Screw off. And the fact that the teacher gives that person an A plus simply because he's on the same side politically as that teacher, and then I put in all the work and I fail. I don't even come close. I get a 38%. It's just a freaking frustration. And I'm finally free. So DaVinci, to all of the wasted money that my dad has been donating to you every single month for the past 2 years, good riddance. You ruined 2 years of my life. You basically sabotaged my relationship with my parents because of all the countless times that my parents have gotten mad at me over the things DaVinci has accused me of doing wrong over and over and over again. I basically ruined my relationship with my parents. It will never be the same because I've argued back, trying to defend myself, saying this school is bad. It's not me. They are literally doing this. I'm not a bad student. They are a bad school. No one believes me until now. And I don't really care because all I care about is I'm finally free. I'm free of the clutches of that poor excuse of a school. I use the term school very lightly. Very, very lightly. It's the worst 2 years of my life. I put a freaking hole in the wall. I came home one day of summer school because I was so ticked off about the just moronic Socratic seminar we had about if Donald Trump should be impeached. I was so upset and so mad about the injustice and bias that school had over me and all the BS I've gone through for the many, many months at that school. I literally just lost it and I punched the hole straight in the wall, and it's right here underneath this picture frame. I never told my dad. 'Cause what am I supposed to say? Oh, by the way, Dad, I punched the hole in the wall. He doesn't need to be paying any more money just because of me losing my mind. So I filled it up with toothpaste and I covered it up with a painting. No one ever found out about it. So yeah, to all of the brainwashed, one-sided teachers and students at that poor excuse of a school, good riddance. And thank you for ruining my experience with education as a whole. Because of this one school, I now think negatively of education in a whole. I now realize that education is a big scam. It's a big scam. So I can almost thank DaVinci for enlightening me about that. Public education in general is all out just simply to make money, to make a profit off of students being miserable and being stressful over doing pointless assignments, learning pointless things that they will never do in their life. Even though most students are perfectly capable of being able to teach themselves things that they want to do. Because most people are smart, but then they are made dumb by school, trying to make them like a normal person, and then become corporate slaves from 9 to 5 for the rest of their life until they die. Well, that's not going to be me. No one has ever changed the world by doing what the world wants them to do. That's a quote by some Asian kid who I forgot the name of, TEDx talk sometime. Very, very intelligent talk. I recommend you check it out. It's called Why School Makes You Dumber, or around something like that. Very, very, very enlightening. That man, well, that kid, probably younger than me, definitely knows what he's talking about. So DaVinci, once again, good riddance. I will not miss you. And I may have promised myself I would burn the yearbooks of DaVinci that I've gotten because my parents have insisted on paying for them before they realized how bad the school was. which my dad only recently, literally yesterday, told me how he finally thought the school was bad because of all the things, all the problems he was going through trying to get me out of it. He found out that I failed summer school. He was completely in disagreement with that. Like, how could you fail a student in summer school, even though he does all the work? It's complete and utter BS. Also, just the whole thing about the transcripts. The school apparently lost my transcripts or something. It's all BS. It's a unorganized, terrible school. Terrible learning environment for people who think differently than the average person. And it is not a family. So yeah, DaVinci, you do things differently. You do things a lot worse. I can only hope that you can somehow improve your ways in the coming years. But yeah, I will never forget those words that one teacher said to me that one day. You don't belong here. That's probably the most accurate thing I've ever heard come out of a teacher's mouth. I've heard a lot of BS from teachers. And it's probably the most accurate statement. So, yep, DaVinci. I've gone through many sleepless nights because of stress. I punched a hole in the wall. I've lost friendships. I've lost relationships. I've developed social anxiety. I've developed depression. I've tainted my relationship with my parents. And I'm finally free. I'm gone. I'm free from this school. So I'm trying to think of some other things I could say, but I'm pretty much done. I mean, that's the DaVinci rant for you. I hope you guys enjoyed the DaVinci rant. Guys, do not ever join a DaVinci funded school unless you are fine with being treated like a corporate slave. Unless you are fine with being treated like a future 9-to-5 ailments of this society. Because that's all the teachers will treat you like. They will treat you like you're just a normal person who should have normal beliefs, be taught normal things, and grow up to do nothing except for be under the command of a boss. And that is just completely what school should not be about. School should be about learning what you need to learn, what you want to learn, what you are interested in, and what you need to learn. So that is the DaVinci rant. Wow. There's just so many more things I could say, but I don't want to because this would be hours and hours long if I did. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.